Hello there, my name's Kaitlin Ferguson and I'm an artist that works with the Scarborough Museums Trust. So I make lots of different types of art, but I'm really interested and excited by geology and different rocks that we can find. And so a lot of my artwork explores geology and what's underneath our feet. And so one of the artworks that I make is what I call soft strata, which is using recycled materials and creating representations of all the different layers of the earth, and also thinking about potentially what the earth might look like in the future. And so thinking about all what happens in the layers of the earth underneath us, all the layers that we can't see but we can imagine what's underneath. So today I'm going to show you how to make your very own soft strata, and we're going to take inspiration from an object from the Scarborough Museums Trust collection, and then I'm going to show you the steps that you'll need to create your very own artwork. The geology of Scarborough offers us a lot of exciting inspiration for making art. Now, the Rotunda Museum is actually made out of sandstone, and that's a clue for us of one of the types of stone and rock that we'll find in our area. Now, if we were standing at South Cliff and we were to dig a hole all the way down behind the spa to sea level, we would see three main bands of rock. First of all, at the top, we would find Ice Age boulder clay. And in there, if we were lucky, we might find some different fossils and potentially of bones of mammals that were from the Ice Age, so maybe a reindeer's antler. Underneath that, we would come across what's called a Middle Jurassic sandstone. And in there, we could find some very exciting footprints of dinosaurs. And they are what's called trace fossils, which means that they are a print of an animal that has lived before. So not actually a bone of the animal, but a print. And they're really exciting. I know I didn't know that there was dinosaurs near Scarborough. And underneath that level, we would find what's called Middle Jurassic muddy limestone. And in there, we might find some ammonites. And they're my probably favourite fossils. One of the most fascinating objects that we have at the Rotunda Museum is this map, and it's by William Smith, and it was made in 1815, and it represents all the different strata or layers of rock that can be found across England, Wales and Scotland. And what's really amazing, was revolutionary about this map, is it was the first time somebody had represented all the different layers of rock and the whole range of geology that we find on these islands, all shown in one place. Each one of the stripes in this map represents different layers of earth that are underneath our feet at any time. And so if we look at a modern day geology map to show us the rocks that are found in the area sort of around Scarborough, we can see the different colours represent, but we can also see underneath the stripes of the different layers. And we can imagine that if we were to take a chunk of the earth, and that's called a borehole, if we were to take a tunnel of the earth from underneath our feet, we could look at all the different stripes within it and see the different types of rock. And now we can use that as an inspiration for making art. So to create your very own soft strata, there's just a few simple materials that you need. You can either do this by sewing if you feel confident sewing, even though you're just going to need a simple running stitch for your sewing. Or alternatively, if you find sewing a little hard, you could use fabric glue and you could just cut out the parts and stick them down. So here's a photograph of some of the materials you'll need. First of all, I would suggest using a thicker fabric as the background for your artwork, and I use some old recycled canvas here, but anything you've got that's a little thicker will do. I've got some scraps of felt from my studio, but you could use any material, and I've got some needles, some threads, and I've also got some pins for pinning down the fabric, and a pencil for drawing it out as well. And like I say, alternatively, you can use a fabric glue to stick down your different parts if you like. So you're going to take your background piece of fabric and you're going to draw out what is your borehole, so the chunk of the ground that you're imagining digging up. Now, I'm going to follow the geology of Scarborough, but you could create your own geology, you could research an area where you are, or you could kind of imagine geology of the future for your layers. So from there, I decided to pick out a few different colours to represent my different layers. And like I say, you could research those stones to see what the colours are. And I'm cutting them out and making sure they fit along my guidelines on my design. And I'm just layering them up and trimming them down so that they fit nice and neatly. Now from there, what you're going to need to do is also think about adding some extra layers and some extra colours. So I was thinking about adding some different sort of darker bits as well. Now where you've got those all sorted, I'm using some old pins, or you could also use some needles to pin the different sections down, and that helps me when I'm sewing. But if you're using glue, this is when you would glue down your background pieces of fabric. Now from there, I have threaded my needle and I am just going to start sewing down the different layers. Now I'm actually using, as you can see, some brown thread and sewing into a contrasting colour of yellow on the fabric, because I wanted to do some lines, imagining the different kind of layers of soil. But you could use thread that match the colour of the fabric, or you can do whatever you want. You're the artist after all. And so I'm securing each bit of my fabric. And then what I'm doing is I'm getting, making sure that the extra bits, the second layer, are also secured as well. Now once those are done, you can think about adding some extra layers on top. So I'm thinking about those fossils. So first of all, I've sketched out the shape of an ammonite in the scrap brown fabric, and I am cutting that out. And then that's going to go on the bottom layer. And then I have also sketched out the shape of an antler, and also I've sketched out a dinosaur footprint. So I'm just following those lines and adding some extra detail. So with your soft strata, you could continue on adding different textures with your sewing on top of the layers of your artwork. Alternatively, you could use a pen to draw different details as well. You could also think about, like I say, doing one for geology of the future. What's the landscape that you live in? What's that going to look like in a million years, and all the layers of the earth? I hope you've really enjoyed learning how to make your own soft strata, and we'd love to see how you get on. So please send in some pictures of your artworks, and hopefully I'll see you back at the museum again soon. Bye!